Let me start by saying this. I don't hate kids. I just don't want to raise someone else's while they're sipping margaritas on a cruise ship. But apparently that makes me the spawn of Satan. I'm the youngest in the family, late 20s, financially stable, single by choice and perfectly happy living in my quiet little apartment, where the only screaming I hear is from my neighbor's TV during football season. I like my peace. I work hard. I travel when I feel like it. I eat sushi at 10 p.m. and I sleep in on Sundays without anyone waking me up to ask where the cereal is. My older sister, the exact opposite. She's 34, two kids under 6, married to a guy who works normal hours and somehow still manages to not be available every time those kids are melting down in public. She's a full-time mom, and if you ask her, she's also the most selfless, overworked, misunderstood woman on the planet. Which, to be fair, parenting is hard. But martyrdom is optional, and she chooses it like it's a full-time gig. Now, our relationship has always been tense. She's the golden girl, the default caretaker, the strong mom of the family. I'm the weird aunt who doesn't want to babysit, doesn't coo at every burp, and doesn't immediately drop everything when she needs a break. Anyway, it all started last month when we were at our parents' house for dinner. She made some offhand comment about needing a mama getaway because, quote, this family doesn't understand how hard it is to be a real woman with real responsibilities. She looked directly at me when she said that, by the way. I just raised an eyebrow, smirked, and kept eating. I knew the smirk would irk her. Then she turned to me and went, since you're so independent and have all this free time, maybe you should prove how much you love your niece and nephew and take them in for a while. I asked her what a while meant. She smiled sweetly and said, just a month, 1 month, so I can breathe. Like she was asking me to water her plants while she's gone. Like watching two tiny chaos goblins under 6 years old is no big deal. Like that's something normal people ask someone who has no children, no parenting experience, and literally no desire to be a free nanny. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I laughed hard, and not a polite chuckle either. I mean, I really let it out. That did not go over well. She looked like I'd slapped her. My mom gasped and my dad stopped chewing, and I just said, girl, if you wanted a free babysitter, you could have just said so. No need to wrap it up in some fake emotional prove your loyalty nonsense. She went red. Then she said, so you're saying no? I said, oh, I'm saying hell no, but thanks for the comedy. And then I went back to my meal like the conversation was over, because as far as I was concerned, it was. Cue meltdown. She started tearing up, saying she just needed support and that I didn't understand what it was like to be truly needed, and that if the roles were reversed, I'd say yes in a heartbeat. Which, first of all, is a bold-faced lie. If I had a goldfish and asked her to feed it for 3 days, she'd act like I had handed her a ticking time bomb. Second of all, let's not pretend this is about emotional support. This was about free labor, period. Then the rest of the family, because of course they did, decided to chime in. Mom said I should step up and act like family. Dad said, it's only a month. Yeah, you try parenting 2 kids under 6 for a month and let me know how it goes, Grandpa. My brother said nothing. Bless him. He knew better. I just sat there, letting them pile on until they ran out of steam. Then I leaned back and said, I didn't choose to have kids. I didn't choose to raise them. I didn't choose to be involved in your parenting. If you want help, ask. But don't weaponize guilt and family loyalty like that's a valid currency. Crickets. I could tell they were shocked I wasn't folding. That's how they've always operated. Shame you into compliance. Make you feel like you're heartless if you don't do your part. But I stopped playing that game years ago. After dinner, she sent me this long paragraph about how I'd humiliated her in front of the family and that I was cold, selfish, and probably jealous that she has a family and I don't. Jealous. Of waking up at 3 a.m. to screaming? Of not having time to shower alone? Of wiping applesauce off the walls? Of budgeting every dollar while your husband conveniently has meetings during bedtime? Sure, color me green. I didn't respond. So now she's got the rest of the family all riled up saying I'm a cold-hearted aunt who doesn't love the kids enough to sacrifice even a few weeks. Let's get one thing straight. I do like my niece and nephew. I send them gifts. I show up to birthdays. I babysat in emergencies. I'm not some Disney villain slamming the door in their faces. But I'm not a parent. I didn't sign up to be one, and I sure as hell didn't sign up to enable someone else's irresponsibility just because she got tired. You want a month off? Pay for a nanny. Trade off with your husband. Rotate weekends with your actual friends who have kids. Hell, rent a cabin and bring the kids with you. But don't knock on my door with guilt and glitter and act like I'm a monster for saying no. I haven't spoken to her since. I blocked her on social media after she posted one of those vague passive-aggressive status updates like, "Some people just aren't meant to be part of your village." Okay, build your village then and leave me out of it. And for the record, the next time someone in my family tries to throw the family mean sacrifice card at me, I might just frame a copy of their wedding photos and write, "Not my kids, not my problem," in glitter glue across the top. Maybe that's cold or maybe it's just boundaries. Either way, I sleep just fine. Update 1. So, since apparently I'm the villain for not wanting to put my entire life on hold to raise 2 kids that didn't come out of my body, I decided to sit back, shut up, and see what would happen when she turned to someone else. Spoiler alert, it was a damn mess. After I laughed her right off the dinner table and declined the role of live-in Aunt Nanny, she went into full campaign mode. You'd think she was running for office with how hard she pivoted to everyone else in the family, except instead of votes, she was begging for babysitting hours. First up, our brother. Now, our brother is a chill guy. He's older than me, younger than her, has 2 kids of his own and a wife who's been dealing with a major health issue for the last few months. She's been in and out of treatment, exhausted all the time, trying to work part-time while also raising toddlers, basically barely holding it together. So, of course, my sister thought it was the perfect time to ask if they could take in her 2 kids for a month. A full damn month. She even tried to pitch it like it would be fun for the cousins. It'll be like a little sibling camp. They'll entertain each other. Yeah, you know what else entertains kids? Screens. Blocks, literally anything except adding more children to a house that's already operating on fumes. My brother shut it down within seconds. He didn't sugarcoat it either. He just looked her dead in the eye and said, "You know my wife's not doing well right now. I'm not taking in anyone else's kids." She said she wasn't asking him to raise them, just watch them for a little while. He said, "A little while is a weekend. You're asking for a month. That's parenting." Honestly, I wanted to high-five him. Yes, it happened in front of me. My brother and I were hanging out having sibling time when she insisted on joining in. No, I don't hang out with her. She stormed off after that, said he was being dramatic and unsupportive and that his wife always gets to be the excuse for everything. which, yikes. Next on her list, our parents. Now, if you remember from my last post, our parents were very vocal about how I should step up and be family when I said no. They weren't subtle. They tried guilt, shaming, even dropping the "oh, you'll understand when you're older and have your own kids" line. So, when I heard she'd turn to them next, I actually got a little excited, like, oh good, let's see that moral high-end ground in action. Let's see who's really family now. Turns out family means as long as it's not them. She asked if the kids could stay with them for a month while she went on this life-changing, soul-healing mama getaway. She said she'd cover groceries, leave a schedule, pack all the essentials, the works. You know what my parents said? "Oh, honey, we have that cruise next month. You remember? The one we booked back in March." Not even 2 minutes of consideration. My mom even had the nerve to say, "I wish you told us sooner," like the entire dinner table guilt fest never even happened. Like she didn't try to volunteer me less than 72 hours ago. My sister was fuming. She said something like, "If none of you are going to help me, just say so." And my dad, being the kind of passive-aggressive avoidance, mumbled something about how this is why people hire nannies. So now she's sulking, and by sulking I mean passive-aggressively posting all over Facebook and Instagram with quotes like, "Sometimes the village is too busy vacationing to raise the child. Being a mother means being everything to everyone and getting nothing in return. Note to self. Stop expecting others to do for you what you do for them." Girl, no. You wanted a vacation. You wanted childcare. You wanted someone else to do your job for 4 weeks while you unplugged and rebranded it as self-care. Which, fine, I get it. Parenting is exhausting. I absolutely think parents deserve breaks. But breaks don't mean you dump your children like they're gym bags and act offended when people don't jump at the chance to take them. Now, here's where things get really funny. She tried to rope in some of her friends. I only found out because one of them messaged me and said, "Hey, is she okay? She asked if we could each rotate the kids for a week, but didn't give us any details." Rotate the kids. She really tried to pass them around like a shared Netflix password. 1 week with this friend, 1 with that cousin, maybe a weekend with a coworker she barely speaks to anymore, like she was planning a tour. Needless to say, that didn't work either. So now, guess who's not going on a mama getaway? Yup. And now she's blaming everyone for her burnout. Says the family failed her. Says no one supports mothers anymore. Says she's reevaluating relationships. I say, welcome to accountability, sweetheart. You don't get to parade around acting like Queen Martha and then crumble when the free labor pool dries up. You don't get to weaponize guilt, family, loyalty, and emotional manipulation and then cry betrayal when people finally say, "Not today, Satan." She called me again last night, didn't even ask how I was doing, just launched into a 5-minute monologue about how some people, me, are selfish, and how she's disappointed in what our family has become. I just told her she should have put that energy into Googling babysitters, and then I hung up. Might be the cold-hearted aunt, but at least I'm not a delusional one. Update 2. Now you might be wondering how I knew about that little conversation at my parents' house, about how my sister tried to guilt them into taking the kids, only to get shut down with a cruise excuse and a quick redirect. Well, I'll tell you because your questions are never ending. Well, funny thing about people who act brand new when they think no one's watching, they forget the house help is watching and listening. My parents have had the same housekeeper for years. Let's call her Maria. She's a sweetheart. Older woman, super kind. But don't let the quiet demeanor fool you. That woman has sharper ears than a bat, and and the memory of a courtroom stenographer. She also works for me on Saturdays, cleans my apartments, folds my laundry into origami level perfection, and always brings me tamales when she visits her daughter. So when she showed up the weekend after that family dinner, she asked me real casual over tea, "Miss, is your sister okay? She seemed very angry the other day at your parents' place." I raised an eyebrow and boom, Maria gave me the whole rundown like it was Tuesday night prime time. Every word, every tone, even told me how my mom immediately texted her travel agent after that conversation like she needed to double confirm her escape plans. So yeah, I didn't need my sister to give me the recap. I had the real MVP on my side. And Maria, she didn't even take a side. She just smiled and said, "It's funny how people forget who's actually doing the work." Amen, Maria. Amen. Story 2. My soon-to-be ex-husband Kevin and I have been married for the past 8 years. We have been together for 10 years, so that's a pretty long time, and I thought that we had a happy, healthy marriage, but clearly I was wrong. We have 2 kids together, a 7-year-old daughter, 5-year-old son, but recently I found out about his 3rd kid with a woman that he had an affair with a couple of years ago. This woman, let's call her Kelly, was an ex-co-worker of his, and apparently they had been hooking up for a couple of months before she decided to quit and just randomly left. She didn't tell him anything, she just disappeared, and a couple of weeks ago she decided to reach out to both of us. Not just him, and tell us that she had quit and come back home to her parents because she was pregnant with her child. And she had never told him about it. She did not want to ruin our marriage and everything, which is ironic. But now her son is almost 6 years old, and now that her parents have passed away, she can't do this on her own. And she has been feeling very guilty about everything. So she decided to come out and tell both of us the truth. And that's how I found out about my husband's secret child, and naturally, as soon as I knew about it, it was over. I knew that Kelly was telling the truth because she even sent me pictures of her with the child and of herself with Kevin. Obviously, he is still trying to convince me to wait for the results of a paternity test. And he's trying to tell me that that's not his kid, but it doesn't matter because even if that's not his kid, I know for a fact that he had an affair with Kelly. Because the pictures are not lying. After a lot of drama, I ended up leaving him and I have filed for divorce. My kids and I are living with my parents right now and things are pretty messy and ugly. And I know that it's not going to get easier for a long time, but I'm trying, and the only thing that has brought me some sort of peace is the fact that I do have a prenup. So even if he wants to, he can't contest the terms of the divorce. He's just going to have to agree because, well, otherwise that would be in violation of the prenuptial agreement that we signed. And he can't do that. And besides, I think that I'm being fair enough, especially given the circumstances, so he really doesn't have anything to complain about. Basically, according to the prenup, all my money and assets are going to remain my own. And he cannot demand any sort of alimony, especially in the event of an affair. So all my assets are protected, thankfully. And on top of that, since the prenup had said that in the event of an affair, I will also be entitled to own all the joint funds that we have had, basically our joint savings, I get that as well. And that's a huge deal because that was supposed to be our retirement fund. And we had been putting aside part of our income for the past 10 years, so it's quite a lot of money. And he cannot contest that. So he's pretty screwed and his family is very upset about it. I'll be honest with you guys, I've always liked his family, but right now I don't know what to think of their behavior. They're acting extremely weird, and it just reminds me of the fact that they hadn't been okay with the prenup even before we got married. They thought that it was unnecessary, and they had tried to discourage Kevin from signing it at all. and they had even tried to convince me to give up that area. But I had persevered. I remember that before our marriage, when I had said that I wanted a prenup to be signed, they had literally laughed at me, saying that I barely even had anything. And I found that a bit offensive, but that's how Kevin's family has always been. Very jokey and kind of blunt. So I didn't take it too hard. But I knew that one day, given my line of work and the effort that I put into my career, I definitely would be worth a lot. And I did not want to put anything on the line, so a prenup was necessary for me. Besides, my dad was a pretty prolific divorce attorney before he retired, so I knew what I was doing, and in spite of the fact that Kevin's family found all of that laughable, and they tried to discourage us from signing it, I'm glad that I did this. And right now, they are trying to tell me that divorce is never the answer, and that in every marriage, there are some problems that people have to pay. But the easy solution is not to run away from it. It's to confront it. Deal with the problem. They have also said that they consider it unfair that on the basis of some prenup that we have signed years ago, their son is going to lose so much of his money and I'm going to take everything away from him. They have been trying to convince me to give marriage counseling a try. And when nothing has worked, they have brought up the kids and their future. And that's given me some pause, because I know for a fact that my kids are not happy about any of this. And even though they are not saying it, they want their old life back and they're very scared of the future. That's the only thing that's been holding me back, and I don't know what to feel about it. I know that there are people who have been able to even work out affairs and continue their marriage after some counseling, just forgiving each other and all that. But I just don't know if I'm strong enough for that. I just don't know if that's the kind of person I want to be, because I'm not a doormat. I never have been. I don't think I can forgive him. And I don't think that I can trust him again. And how can I stay married to a man I don't trust? So that's why I need to know. AITA for not wanting to give my husband a second chance. Update 1. Hey, thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post and made me realize that I was just being manipulated. And now, obviously, I can see things much clearer. I can tell that my in-laws were just trying to do what was convenient for them, because they did not want to accept the fact that their son had ruined his marriage himself with very little help from me, because I had never even considered the thought of cheating. It had never even entered my mind, no matter how things have been. But I know why he cheated, and the more I think about it, the more I find it absurd that I had even been considering myself guilty for leaving him. Because the time around which he started hooking up with Kelly, I had been having a very difficult time with my daughter, and on top of that, my pregnancy with my son. Naturally, I was very irritable because I was also working, and Kevin was always tiptoeing around me. Back then, I had noticed that he had started becoming a little distant, but I loved him and trusted him so much that the thought of him having an affair did not even enter my mind. Now, obviously, because I'm connecting the dots, I know that this was around the time that he started having an affair with Kelly. So that's why he was acting so distant. He was cheating on his pregnant wife while I was trying my best to balance everything, my life as a mom and a working woman, while he thought that I was some sort of monster. Obviously, even recently when I confronted him about it, he started denying it, and he told me that he and Kelly were just friends. But if they were just friends, then there would absolutely have been no reason for him to lie about his equation with her. And he, because from the pictures that Kelly sent me, I could see that they had taken a couple of trips together. So he was really not out on business retreats on the weekends. He was out with her. Besides, what kind of married man has a female friend that he goes to dinner with at fancy restaurants? Yeah, obviously, I was not buying that. And I think it was just my in-laws messing with my head that made me think I should have considered marriage counseling before filing for a divorce. Now, obviously, I don't feel that way, and I know that this might be a little difficult for my kids, but children can adjust to new lives. They always do. Doesn't mean I have to ruin my own life as an adult and put my respect and dignity aside. I'm not doing that. Anyway, my decision remains the same. I'm not going to change my mind about the divorce and getting what I deserve. Update 2. Hi, so it has been a couple of months since my previous update, and the divorce has been finalized. Obviously, it was not a very easy process, emotionally at least. But thankfully, at least my children are much happier now. I tried to explain the whole situation to them as nicely as I could, without traumatizing them too much, and I guess they know that from now on they're going to have 2 homes. One with mom, one with dad. They're still trying to get used to it because they have to spend the weekends with their father, and the rest of the week they stay with me. I'm still living with my parents because as a woman, I need all the help I can get, and I'm very grateful to have parents who are so supportive of me. The divorce was difficult. Kevin's insanity made it even more difficult. He would literally call me up at any given time of the day, trying to convince me to come back to him. He would be crying and sobbing and begging me, and it was pathetic. He would even show up here under the pretext of trying to see the kids. And then he would try to talk to me, trying to convince me again, and I would have to ignore him and work really hard to get him off my back. Obviously, these things were very difficult for me, but somehow I got through it. And lately he hasn't been trying because I think in the final stages of the divorce, he knew that there was nothing that he could do. I don't know what he's been up to be very honest. But I do know for a fact that he's been in trouble financially since even Kelly is demanding compensation and child support because she cannot possibly raise the child on her own. So that was another part of the reason why my in-laws were trying to get me to change the terms of the prenup. But obviously, I was not having that. Whatever is happening to him right now, he totally deserves it. He brought it down to himself. It wouldn't be that hard for him to do the decent thing and not cheat on his pregnant wife, while I was also raising our daughter and doing all the work. But he went out of his way to cheat on me, and now he's just getting his karma. I don't see anything wrong with what's happening to him, and I definitely don't feel any empathy or pity for him. Update 3. Hi, it's been 2 years since my divorce, and I've never been better, to be very honest. My kids and I are doing very well, and obviously they have pretty much gotten used to the life of having divorced parents now. They still spend the weekends with their father, and even less pathetic now. We just stick to talking about the kids, nothing else. I'm totally over him, and for the past couple of months I've been dating somebody else. Obviously, it's not easy to start again after spending 10 years of my life with somebody and thinking that I know them, but you have to give love a chance, and that's what I'm doing. As for Kevin, I know that last year he got married to Kelly, which was weird, but then whatever works for them, I guess. I don't have anything against their son, and I've taught my kids to be nice to that half-brother so that they get along, because the kids shouldn't get involved in any of this, and it's been going pretty well, so I'm happy about that. He's a decent kid too, and I guess Kelly feels sorry about everything that happened, so she always tries to make it up to me by being extra nice, doing nice things, sending stuff for me back home. Obviously, I'm never going to forgive these people, but it's nice to see them try at least. And whatever the case, we are linked for life because of my kids, so we might as well make the most of it. Anyway, the bottom line is I'm doing well for myself. I've been traveling with my kids, and we are even considering getting a pet, provided that they can prove themselves to be responsible enough to have one. Preferably a dog, I think. I never could have one, even though I love dogs, because Kevin was not really a fan, but now I guess it's time. I've already moved on with my life, so why not this? My parents have also been incredibly supportive. I must mention that. And they've made things much easier for me as a working mom. And they're always up to take care of the kids whenever I need it, so I can have a personal life as well. It's nice to have a support system like this. As for my in-laws, I haven't spoken to them since the divorce, and I intend on keeping it that way. I will never forget the fact that they tried to manipulate me, and I almost fell for it. I'm never letting go of that, no matter how nice they were to me throughout my marriage to Kevin. All of that was just ruined during the divorce. But whatever. I'm happy with my life now. That's all that matters. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.